In this video, we're going to take a look at the Spreadsheet style logbook. Logbook Pro comes with two main entry interfaces for your flight data. You can enter via the Spreadsheet style logbook or the Windows style logbook, whatever your preference is. Both have their advantages. We'll go ahead and start the logbook entry area by clicking the main toolbar icon, and which interface opens depends on the configuration that you have set in the Options Flight Log area. You can also set it to start your Windows style user interface by clicking the main toolbar icon, logbook icon, if you so desire. In this example, we have it set for the spreadsheet style, as that's what we're going to concentrate on in this video. As you can see, we have a layout very similar to your traditional paper logbook, depending on the configuration in your Options Flight Log settings as to whether or not when you open this area it's going to open to a new entry, such as we have here. It's ready to take a new flight entry, or to just be positioned on the last flight log entry. In other words, you're just coming in to view data. Let's go ahead and make a flight log entry. As you enter data in Logbook Pro, which you can enter in any order, because when Logbook Pro opens the log area, it is going to sort on this date column ascending chronologically. So don't worry about entering today's flight and then going back to 1988 and entering flights, and then 1973 and entering flights. Enter them in any order that you desire. Logbook Pro will automatically sort those on the date. If you have multiple flights on the same calendar day, it is imperative that you enter them in the proper order on that day, as Logbook Pro is also storing, which you cannot see, but the time of your entry, so it knows how to sort your entries all on the same calendar day. Let's go ahead and make a flight log entry. Today is the 28th of February. If we have other entries that were of a previous date, as you can see here on the status bar at the bottom of the screen, there are some quick indicators, such as pressing the letter T on your keyboard to enter today's date, or if you were entering, for example, 15 Feb 03 flights, you could actually come down here and enter the letter P, and it would enter the previously entered flight. All right, your last entered. So if my previous record that I just saved was 15 Feb 03, and I come to this next row, first off, it's going to know that, and it's going to enter 15 Feb 03. But if I changed it for some reason, I want to go to the previous entered date, all I do is hit the letter P, and Logbook Pro will take care of that for me. I can change the date by hitting the plus or minus key on my keyboard. As you can see, I'm changing one day at a time. It will allow you to enter flights in advance of the current date in the event you're logging via UTC time, so be careful of the date you're entering. We'll go ahead and hit the letter T, and it will quickly snap to today's date. We can also use this calendar, such as in the other data entry areas that we discussed in the basic data entry video, and you can select the date of your flight from the pop-up calendar. When you click or tab into the next column, it will come up with your recently used information for that column. So it will save you time. So as you can see, we can just scroll right on across here, and it automatically entered the last used aircraft ident, the last used route. Well, you'll see the aircraft ident list, or all your idents that you have recently flown in the Cessna 172, the particular type I have displayed. If I were to change this, let's go down to our trusty Cessna 152, you'll see that the idents have changed based on that aircraft type. So Logbook Pro knows which N numbers or idents go to which aircraft type. So it's a smart system working for you. You might say, well, I flew a new type and it's not listed. What am I going to do? All you have to do is type in the N number, and there you have your new N number associated with this Cessna 172 in this example. So when I go to my next flight log entry, this N number, this ident, will be available. As far as the legs column, you can actually log multiple legs, multiple flights of the same day or same flight log entry in Logbook Pro. As you can see, we have a route of flight column. We do not have a, as you've seen in your paper logs, a from and to column. In this particular example, you can see we've logged 3 flights all in one line. It makes for a very efficient data entry system. From SJC to 3 Oscar 7, Q99 back to SJC, all 3 legs, total duration of 1.2, or whatever your duration is for the 3 combined legs. You can actually put multiple legs on one line. You might be asking yourself, well, I like the from and to capability. Not a problem. You can go into the display configuration in the options flight log area, or right-click on this log screen, choose the display configuration, and actually rename the route of flight to from, add a custom text field to, and now you have your from and to capability. And that way Logbook Pro will identify this column as having data entered so that it can verify and validate your flight log as a complete entry with the required items. The required items being date, type, ident, route of flight, and a duration. If there's no duration, it will look for a sim, flight simulator value. Let's go ahead and enter our duration. We'll fly an hour for this particular entry. And if I have autofill from the options autofill area configured for the Cessna 172, you'll see that as soon as I move out of the duration column, my autofill will fire and automatically enter the columns that I have told Logbook Pro to automatically enter for me. Add a day landing, as well as any custom fields, check the tow field, put in a 1 for my custom counter for the RA field, etc. So tab across columns to enter data. If you had a takeoff and land time, Logbook Pro will automatically calculate your duration for you. So let's go ahead and say that we went from 8. We're using the same day. If not, you can pick a day from the calendar. And it's a 2.9. If you want to look at the time conversion chart that Logbook Pro uses, you can click the View Time Chart, and you can see the values that Logbook Pro uses to determine the hours and tenths. So we'll go at, we're going to go up, and we'll come back down on the hour. Logbook Pro automatically calculated it to 2.8. Enter logbook, and you'll see that the time is already entered as 2.8, and your autofill has fired and entered 2.8 in the appropriate columns. Pretty neat. Very fast, automated system, and accurate. If I were to enter, let's say 3.0 here, you can see Logbook Pro is not going to even give me the option of entering that value, because there's no way that you can have a value higher than the duration of your flight. So Logbook Pro is helping you. Well, you'll say, yeah, I'll just type it in. There, I've got 44 hours. Logbook Pro, when you come off of this record, is not going to let you do that. It's going to say, you got a mistake here. So you can see that it's doing some automatic error checking for you to make sure that your other time columns do not exceed that of your duration, which is not possible. As you sit back and look at your logbook, you go, I'm missing some columns here. If I look at my paper log, I've got an ASEL column, an ASCS, AMEL, AMES. Where are those in Logbook Pro? Where do I log my complex time, my turbine time, etc.? Short answer, you don't. Logbook Pro is smart. You've entered a duration, you've entered an aircraft type. In your options aircraft area, you've specified the Cessna 172 as an airplane, single engine, land, non-complex, etc., etc. When it comes time to look at statistics or create reports or even your flight log printout, Logbook Pro will automatically build you a column for ASCL, ASCS, etc. based on your options aircraft configuration. No need to log it. No need to make a mistake in your logging. The more you have to enter, the more chance you have of making an error. Let's say you flew an approach. Come to the approach column, click the approach button. Let's say you flew an ILS today. Let's say you flew 2 ILS today. Let's say you practice holding on both of those as well to meet your IFR currency requirement. That's how you enter your approaches. And you can see Logbook Pro says, yeah, you did 2 approaches. You want to see which 2? Just come back into the approach area or go to the reports, and it will identify your approaches flown for each particular approach type. Then you can enter any other information as you so desire. If you have custom yes/no fields, they will show up as a checkbox, so you can check whether you accomplish it or not. And of course, you can use this for statistics of your logbook as well as for currencies. If you had a flight cost, which, if I remember correctly, we have one set up for the Cessna 152, so let's go ahead and make a flight entry for the Cessna 152, and I'll show you how the cost works. And we'll just make it 1 hour because I think we had $55 an hour set up for the rate for this particular aircraft. And look at that. It automatically calculated for us the flight cost because we put in the options aircraft area for the Cessna 152 of $55 per hour. We flew 1 hour in duration, and there's the $55. So we can do some nice statistics and see how much it's costing us to fly. We can enter expense custom values. We didn't actually configure any. If we want to, we can go in and configure expense values. So we'll skip that part. Just believe me. If you have per diem tracking, you go and enter that value. Then more custom. If you were wanting to track your day takeoff and night takeoffs, other than day and night landing for FAR currency requirements, you can do so. As far as your remarks, you can enter up to 255 characters. And when complete, hit enter, and your data is saved. There is no save button. There's no requirement to save data in Logbook Pro. It will automatically and always save your data for you. If it's incomplete, in other words, you forgot to enter the date, type, ident, route, or duration, it will tell you, hey, there's a problem here, you're missing something. Just taking a look at some other basics, as we covered in the other data entry basics area, you have the enhanced data navigator here at the bottom of the screen where you can go to the first record, last record. You can do search features, so you can actually do complex searches. Then you can also add, cancel, save, or delete. And then you can bookmark, in other words, put a push pin on certain rows of data. So if we want to come back to this flight at any time, we can actually put a push pin on that flight, and it will be available to quickly jump to. Well, since we only have one, it's automatically going to jump there. So if we have multiple, so let's say the 19th of September, we'll put a push pin on that flight also. We are now going to get a drop-down list of areas to go to. So we just bookmarked, let's go to the 15th of February, exact flight that we had before. We can actually put push pins like thumbtacks on particular flights and then quickly jump to those flights. So a very unique navigation capability at the bottom. On the very bottom part of the spreadsheet log entry system is the summary bar. Please take a look at the summary bar video. There's a video dedicated to this functionality on its own. There's the sub-level toolbar in the spreadsheet style log area where you can change the grid style, the date format, your fonts, your header font, and your main font, just as you can in the options flight log area. And then you can really get into formatting control. We can show and hide columns. Maybe you don't want out and in columns, so let's just remove those. Maybe you want route of flight to just say route. And in a flash, you can see that our column changed to route. Our out and in columns have been hidden because we don't need to display those. All from the configure display capability. If you want to reset the layout, then you can certainly do that with the reset option. You can right click depending on where you're working within the Logbook Pro spreadsheet style log entry system. You can see the new entry will show, and then it knows you're on a new entry. It knows you're on this particular column. Your status bar also changes to reflect the column. You have export options, you have customizing settings, as well as the ability to hide the summary bar, etc., etc. You can even run an error check on your entire log, again from the feature in the right mouse button. So it behooves you to use your right mouse to see what options are available because they are going to be tailored. Those menus will constantly change based on where you're working within Logbook Pro, even down to which cell your cursor is resting in. We have the option of printing Logbook reports, but there's also this option at the bottom that I want to highlight, that is print this spreadsheet. Maybe you have a particular sort, a particular column layout, or your formatting. The only way you're going to capture that is to print directly from this spreadsheet entry system. So you might find out this to be a solution in one of the print layouts that you so desire. You can export, just as discussed in the export video. And here's the undo, refresh your data. This will sort your data by the date column ascending. However, we can sort any column in any order. Let's take a look at our aircraft types. We're just going to click the column header. By clicking the column header, we now sorted A to Z. Yep, let's get back to the beginning. Now let's do a sort. Now we've sorted reverse. We've actually got our numbers which come before the letters. Click again, and it reverse sorts. So you can see you can actually sort your column. So maybe you're entering your flights out of order, which is fine. All right, because Logbook Pro is going to sort chronologically on open. If you have multiple flights on the same day, it is imperative that you enter those flights in the exact order flown, because Logbook Pro is also logging the time of your entry so that it knows how to sort flights of the same day. But you can actually sort on any column, such as your duration. Maybe you want to find, all right, I've got some 55-hour, it should have been 5 hours, where is it? You can actually sort on your duration column and find that value. So, again, very handy capability to actually know how to do a sort. You can actually rearrange columns just by clicking and dragging. Maybe you want your day landings to be just to the right of your duration. Just click and drag, and the column will be positioned where you drop it, and it will be saved, so your layout is preserved. The next time you open up Logbook Pro or come back into the Logbook entry area, the layout will be exactly as you so desire. You can adjust the column width just by clicking. You can see how the mouse cursor changes between the column headers. Just click and drag and resize the column as you so desire. You have cut, copy, and paste functionality for a particular cell. So if you have a particular route, you don't want to retype this again, and it's not available in the drop-down for whatever reason, you can actually copy it, come down to your next cell, and then paste it into that cell. We can delete one row. I can control-click and select unique rows, or I can shift-click. Let's click the first one. Let's click shift and then click. We can select a range of rows, your Windows standard functionality. I can hit the delete key or the delete X and actually delete these highlighted rows. Or if I choose the print the spreadsheet option and you have rows selected, Logbook Pro will offer to you to only print the selected rows. We can actually choose to have any columns left of this splitter value, splitter presentation rather, will be frozen. See, as we scroll, the date column is not moving. If I want to have this not scroll all the way from, we have the ability to filter data by showing the filter row. We can look at all data. We can look at, let's say, the last 180 days. And as you can see, once we have changed a value, we need to hit the update button on the filter bar. And now we are looking at only the data within the criteria of the last 180 days. If you choose, we can actually set custom dates. So maybe we want, let's just see, from the past year. Hit the update button and your data is represented. Let's go back and show the all data again, but this time let's just pick my Cessna 152 and my Cessna 172 as the only two aircraft types I want to take a look at, and you can see the data is filtered to show just my Cessna 172 and Cessna 152 data. We can look at our flights and sim values, our flights only, our simulator only. But the important thing is, let's clear out our filter, which will also be cleared out when I turn off the filter bar. But it's good practice to clear your filter, then close your filter bar, and all data will be displayed. So as you can see, we have returned all the results of the available data. We can also quickly go to the first or last entry. Using this handy feature, we can also quickly jump to a specific date. We can run an error check on our logbook, where it's going to check for the basic data entry type errors. And those are pretty much the options available, which are also available from the right mouse button as well. There's the filter bar we just talked about, the error checking, your printing options to include this specific spreadsheet for printing. And that in a nutshell is the spreadsheet style logbook. There's a lot of power packed into this, from filtering capability, data analysis, searching capability. your Enhanced Data Navigator at the bottom we discussed, your autofill we saw in action, your flight cost automatic calculation in our Cessna 152 example, the ability to log your approaches by specific approach type, and just a tremendous amount of capability. Again, straightforward for those that just want to enter your simple flights, but for those that really want to customize this out, customize your display, etc., very simple to do. So a lot of information covered here in the spreadsheet style log, but it's a very involved area where you're going to spend most of your time in Logbook Pro, so it's important to get the most out of your training video here in the spreadsheet log area. We'll look at the Windows style log in the next video segment. Thank you for